Here we go. So, first and foremost, this is going to be a podcast revolving around the real estate industry and multiple things we're going to take in here. Today's guest on timbers to titles. This is going to be a brand new podcast out there for y'all. It is going to be a roofing company, Brendan Thomas with Hargrove Roofing. He's going to shoot the game about what we need to know when we're navigating the roofing industry, moving forward. So I'll pass the mic over to Brendan. He can kind of introduce himself, introduce his company, and what we're going to get into today. We'll discuss that shortly after.
Great. Well, Derek, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, man. Like Derek said, I am Brendan Thomas. I live here in Dallas, Texas, and I'm originally by way of South Florida. Moved out here a few years ago, but I'm with Hargrove Roofing. We are a roofing company servicing over 9 different branches, encompassing everywhere from Little Rock to Dallas to Texarkana to Austin to Tyler, Shreveport, and even here, like I said, DFW. But I really appreciate you having me on this episode. As I understand it, this podcast is maybe made for homeowners, for buyers, for sellers looking to get into a new property. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's to serve clients, right? We're both out in the client industry. I'm a home inspector. You're in the roofing side of things. But the most important thing is that we're informing clients along the way. So there's going to be multiple topics that we're hitting on today: navigating the roofing industry, dealing with insurance claims and how to properly deal with insurance companies and how to get your roofing company involved in those transactions, types of roofs, types of roofing materials and their advantages, shingle grade and quality. And then after that, we can kind of have an open discussion, man. This is really to benefit the clients and see where we can take this thing.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So where do I fit into this? So first process, I guess they call you out. You have to do a home inspection, and part of the things that you all look for is plumbing, electrical, foundation, and then comes the roofing. You call me. I
Yes,
get
sir.
involved.
Yep. The big five is the nature of the game, right? And one of the big five is going to be the roof, right? And a lot of appraisals fail. There's other things in the home transaction process that gets held up with roofs that aren't tip-top shape. So obviously, if you could just start off, by talking about navigating the roofing industry, maybe discuss some common challenges that homeowners face throughout and selecting the proper roofing contractor.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, the long and short of it is the way that we do our business or how we service the clients is really storm damage, for lack of a better need, if you will. Homeowners have hail, they have wind damage, they've got some leak damage, and so they call a contractor out. They do an inspection on the roof. The contractor determines how bad the severity of the damage is. Is it something that's as simple as a repair? Does it need to go through the insurance process? And is it a full replacement? And so that's where they get us involved. To your point, how does the roofing industry work, or how does a general inspection work? So here in DFW, and I'm remiss to admit this, but here in DFW, there's so many contractors. There's something like 6,000 different roofing contractors.
Crazy.
So, I mean, good luck going on Google and finding a decent contractor just off of a whim. Really, what you have to do is, my big thing is reaching out to word of mouth, your network, referrals, ask people who they've worked with before. That's a really good way to find out if they're a reputable contractor. But basically what you do is you find a contractor, call them up, you explain to them your situation. Hey, I have a leak. Hey, I've got some storm damage, or hey, we just had a hailstorm. Can you check out the extent of the damages? A contractor will go out to the house and they'll perform, depending on the contractor, they'll perform a somewhat extensive or somewhat just a visual inspection, just, hey, real quick. So a contractor will get up on the roof and they'll take a look at the shingles. They'll take a look at any hail damage. They'll take a look at the valleys. Are you familiar? You know the valleys.
The valleys.
The valleys see the highest concentration of ice and water flow. And so a lot of times you've got those areas in particular have got some water leaks. So a contractor will go out there, they'll assess the condition of the shingles, they'll assess the hail damage, the wind damage, they'll take a look at any leak points, they'll look at the flashing, and then once that visual inspection of the top is all done. Then they'll come down and typically, depending on how thorough they want to be, they'll take a look at the fence, they'll take a look at window screens, these other items that insurance would pay for. But that'll basically give you a good idea of the extent of the damage. So like I said, homeowner would call a contractor, they'll do a full inspection of the property, and then depending on the severity of the damage and what the contractor advises is the next steps that the homeowner should take. If that's a simple repair, they got a leak and then there's some interior damage, or if it's, hey, this is a full replacement, let's go ahead, call insurance, have them take a look at it. That's basically the scope of what a contractor's inspection looks like.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
You did hit on a couple things there, man, because I really want to harp on the fact that how do we find the trustworthy and reliable roofing companies? When you talk about asking questions, what type of questions should clients be asking their roofing company going into this process? Are we talking about certifications? Are we talking about warranties? Are we talking about, past client testimonials? What is the meat and potatoes of what you want your clients to ask you to ensure that you can deliver the service?
Absolutely, and that's a really good question. So anytime that you are, from a client perspective, selecting who to work with, be it a contractor, a company that you want to buy a product from, things like that, what do we naturally do? We go online, we read reviews, we read customer testimonials, we look at any warranties they offer, certifications, things like that.
Yeah.
To me personally, just starting out with certifications. So unfortunately here in DFW and Texas for that matter,
yes, sir,
you don't need to be licensed and certified to be a contractor.
Right.
What does that mean? That means that any Joe Schmo can set up an LLC. They can buy shingles from Lowe's, Home Depot, not to knock on them. Great
yes,
businesses.
Sir. Yes, sir.
But I just say that to say when storm season hits, anybody can set up an LLC, buy some shingles and work that storm season and then take off.
Correct.
I say that to say there's a level of hesitation and trepidation for homeowners selecting contractors. And so relying on warranties and reviews and certifications is extremely important. Back to the certifications point. So certifications, to me, although roofing isn't required, it implies a degree of commitment from the contractor's point of view.
Absolutely.
Where they say, although I don't need it, if I want to learn Brava shingles, if I want to learn metal roofing, if I want to be master certified, I'm going to be committed. I'm going to invest my time and energy to learn this. Although I don't need it, I'm going to learn it because I'm committed to my customer. So right off the bat, as a homeowner or as a client selecting a contractor, ask them, hey, do you have any certifications, or what specialized knowledge do you have? That's a really good point. What specialized knowledge? Because a lot of these roofers, it's a very broad industry. You can do residential, you can do commercial, you can do metal. But if you ask them, hey, do you have a specialty? And my specialty, Brendan Thomas, I specialize with real estate agents, meaning I invest in my time and energy and developed a network to learn how that industry operates.
Yes, sir.
So when I work with my real estate agents, particularly you and I, we have cohesion because of what you do.
Yes, sir.
That hence why we're here.
Yep.
So my specialty is working with real estate agents, but that implies, hey, listen, I'm willing to take the time and energy to invest and get really good at this skill set so that I can help out in a unique way. So from a client perspective, I would ask your contractor, do you have any certifications that aren't needed really per se? But also, what do you specialize in roofing so that I know I can utilize you to that extent?
Yeah, because you're not going to hire some Joe Schmo to put slate shingles on. Like that's
exactly.
I mean, you're talking a lot of money, a big investment, and this also investment can carry you multiple years if it's done properly. So it's very important to understand. Kind of to circle back on the warranties, like what is a good warranty? What's a so-so warranty? Like what?
Yeah. So good question. So like to my point earlier about people coming and going, some contractors will work the season and take off, and there's really no warranty to that.
Yes, sir.
So warranties are extremely important in terms of who you choose to work with. You want that company to be around 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Yes, sir.
Most warranties for roofing companies are anywhere from 5 to 10 years.
Gotcha.
Most roofing companies. If that company is still in business, I make light just the transient nature of roofers, but if they're still in business 5, 10 years from now and they've offered that warranty, that's good. But really what you would want is a lifetime labor warranty. Now there's a distinction between these warranties. There's labor warranty, workmanship, and then there's also the manufacturer's warranty.
There we go.
If it relates to something that's labor-wise or workmanship-wise, you want to select a company that has a lifetime labor warranty.
Gotcha.
If something's wrong with the install, if there's a leak on the inside, that company will go out there, they'll service it. They'll fix the exterior, but they'll also fix the interior as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it comes down to a manufacturer warranty where there's an issue with, let's say, the adhesive, or there's just a number of different issues that can go wrong with a manufacturer's product, a lot of times those companies will offer a manufacturer's warranty. And you also want to do your due diligence looking into what type of warranty those manufacturers offer. And depending on the product, there's a whole number of different warranties at manufacturers. But what it boils down to is you want a labor and workmanship warranty that's a lifetime labor.
For sure, man.
Yep.
For sure. Well, bouncing in, so this is fantastic, man, because now we can kind of dovetail into types of roofs, right? So out there's a lot of options for clients to choose. As a home inspector, primarily we see a lot of asphalt shingles out there, but maybe if we can touch base on asphalt specifically, what's the difference of a 3-tab shingle versus a architectural grade shingle. And then we can maybe get into what benefit or cons does metal and obviously tile or slate, these other types of shingles. So, in your experience, what is involved in each installation process, and then how long or the longevity? How does that change?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. So 80 to 90% of roofs in Texas are installed with composite asphalt shingles.
Yes, sir.
So of the composite asphalt shingles, you've got 3 different types. You've got your 25-year 3-tab, you've got your 30-year architectural laminate, and what used to be in the market was a 50-year impact resistant. Class 4, 50-year impact resistant. So although the name implies 25-year 3-tab, 30-year architectural laminate, 50-year, a lot of homeowners will say to me, well, I have a 30-year, it should last me 30 years. I'm like, man, with all due respect, it's named a 30-year here in Texas. You're lucky to get 12, 15, 18 years, depending on the product.
Yeah.
So just to circle back, the 25-year is really your base.
Yep.
Your base shingle, your builder's grade, your easy entry-level shingle. The winter rating on that one is, I believe, 65 miles per hour. So anytime that we get some weather over 65 miles per hour,
quite frequent here in the
you're going to get some shingles in
even
there.
Across East Texas, anywhere really.
Oh yeah. So I make light about that product. I'm not too crazy about it, but the 25-year 3-tab is your base model, lower wind rating, lower durability, things like that. They tend to get damaged a lot easier. The threshold, I want to say, for hail on that one is 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inch. Anything generally under an inch, you should be okay. But 1 inch, it'll do some damage, enough that insurance will pay for replacement. Moving on, you've got your 30-year architectural laminate, which is the most of what we install. I would imagine most of what roofing companies in Texas install.
Yeah.
The wind rating on that one is 120 miles per hour. It's a great product. If we've got winds over 120 miles per hour, we got bigger problems.
Yeah.
But that's a great product. I would say the threshold on that one, conservatively, 1.5 to about 2.5 inches. Anything over 2.5, really, 2 inches to 2.5, you're going to get some damage and insurance will pay for. But again, those will last you 10, 12, 15 years. It's a good one. And then the last product that we touched on is, I said 50-year impact resistant. It's a class 4.
Yeah.
A lot of manufacturers are doing away with that product. They're no longer going with the 50-year IR. They're going with...
That's got to be a heavy shingle too, man.
It's heavy. And so what I will say real quick, the downside of going with a 50-year impact resistant is, let's just address the elephant. Not everybody likes to get a new roof. But some people, they have an issue with the roof and they say, I want a new roof, right?
Right.
So a lot of times people will lock themselves in and say, you know what, I want to set it and forget it. Give me a 50-year IR and I'm never going to have to do my roof again. Well, maybe there's a new buyer that comes in, or they're in a position where they have a 50-year IR. Insurance will come out and say, we're not paying for a replacement. So in theory, they're stuck with that roof. So that's the only downside, is if you elect to go with a product that's that durable, if you will, you are locked in where insurance might not pay for a replacement in dire circumstances when you really need it.
Right.
So I would opt for the 30-year, but to finish out on the 50-year.
That's a really good point, man, because if you're talking about keeping your insurance and your protection, the ability for homeowners to have that protection, and they don't cover per se, or the clauses don't cover. And again, we're going to dive right into insurance companies here in a little bit. But no, that is a fantastic point.
Yeah, and then the last point to that is, like I was saying, the 50-year IR, they're switching over to Class 3 impact resistant, which is your next grade up. So I would recommend for a lot of homeowners that are looking to install some roofs, and I don't want to get too technical on it, but if you elect to go with an impact resistant shingle, there are some insurance benefits that come with it, new roof discount, impact resistant discount. So I would say, of those three that I just mentioned, the Class 3 impact resistant is a fantastic product.
For sure.
Hope that covers the three. And then did you want to go into
metal? Like, what about metal? Like, there's a lot of, I work primarily out, on the outskirts of Dallas. I love, coming in, anywhere along I-20 really. But in terms of metal roofs, I see a lot of them out in rural areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably not as common in the city, but talk about those. Is that advantageous for clients to put on? They last, a while too?
So so there's numerous different metal products. The two most that we install are standing seam and R-panel metals. Really what it boils down to, you can buy products that have more or less the same durability. They're extremely durable, but what it boils down to is aesthetics.
Right.
You're not going to have to worry about any shingles blowing off. You're not going to have to worry about golf ball and larger size hail. So really, if you like the look of a metal look, and it has to complement the roof well, I would say going with the metal, it's extremely durable. It'll last you ages and ages and ages. I want to say 50, 75 years, really. The only downfall, the only concern I have is some leak points near the washers and where it snaps.
Yep.
But just hiring a contractor, coming out there, taking a look at it, doing routine inspections.
Yeah.
Metal's a great product if you like that look.
Okay. And then, granted, I've only done a few home inspections on slate roofs.
Mm-hmm.
What does that entail? Is that worth it? Is clay or slate any of those products?
So there's numerous different products. So there's synthetic slate, you've got clay, you've got a lot of synthetic products that mimic clay. Brava is actually a really good product. BRA, so Brava, I guess Brava, Romeo, Alpha V, is it Victor? Alpha, Brava. That's a great product. But it's a synthetic material. There's 3 different kinds that they've got. But in terms of, really, it boils down to the look of the house.
Right.
Again, with synthetic slate, it's more old world, more French chateau, more, like I said, it has an old timeliness look to it, and it's extremely expensive. It will last you 50, 75 years. The only downside is they do tend to get some algae growth on it, things like that, so you would have to clean it. But if you're up for the cost of that product and you have the house that can sustain that look, slate is really nice. It's you can get a synthetic material, or you can get the slate itself. Yeah. And then, like I said, I would encourage homeowners out there, look into Brava. Brava's a fantastic product line. They've got 3 different products that are wonderful.
Okay. Now, homes are getting more energy efficient. Like, are you a proponent of these solar panel shingles, or anything of that nature, or is that something that
to be honest,
you've ever seen really?
Yeah, I mean, solar panel shingles are so new. I think Tesla's coming out with some of those. I would love to speak more on it. I really don't know enough about the Tesla shingles. Like I said, my specialty is more the real estate side of things.
Yes, sir.
But you've got guys that sell solar panels, and then they sell solar panel shingles. I just don't know enough about the solar panel shingles.
Oh, man. How about, bottom line, everyone cares about how much things cost.
Okay.
All right. Of these shingles that we just discussed, like what should people expect to spend, on a 3-tab versus, your class 3, right? And then into a metal roof, and, if they want to proceed with something more expensive like a slate roof, like what do those numbers look like? Yeah.
So what I will say, just to kind of frame this conversation, when we're talking pricing, insurance, if it's a replacement job, insurance will determine the cost of the job. The only expense that the homeowner has to worry about is the deductible.
Correct.
That's for sake of an easy exercise. Deductible is the only thing if it's going through an insurance job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's take that out of the equation and let's look at retail jobs or just pricing for that matter so that your average homeowner can understand the difference in pricing.
Yeah.
So as it stands right now, and just for your listeners out there, what's happening with the insurance industry is a lot of these policies are switching from an RCV to an ACV only. So in lieu of the full value of the material cost, depending on the age of the roof, is the only amount that they're going to allocate. So RCV would be the full value regardless of the year.
Yeah.
They withhold on the back end. ACV only means depending on the age of that roof is all they're going to release. So where I'm going with this is switch from RCV to ACV and now a transition from a 1% to a 2% deductible. Meaning there's going to be a lot more expenses incurred by the homeowner moving forward on replacing their jobs. We anticipate a lot more cash bids are going to be sent out and retail jobs are going to be sent out so that homeowners should be aware of pricing so they know how to accurately price this out.
Yeah.
I would say, and just for reference so your listeners know, are you familiar? You know what a square is? A square is a 10 by 10, 100 square feet, and basically 3,000 square foot house would equate to be 30 squares.
30 squares.
Now, that's just the measurement that a contractor uses so that they can calculate. There's a lot of other things that go into it. Valley length, you got your hips, your ridges, your drip edge, all of that. But just for sake of ease, if you can use an easy number, we use a square times a certain cost. Okay. So if you're going to go with a 25-year 3-tab, I would say conservative, safe price that a contractor should charge is anywhere from about $500 to $750 per square. Per square. Yep. So let's say it's a 10-square house times, let's just call it 650. Yeah. $7,500. Then moving on to if you've got your 30-year architectural laminate, $750 to about $900. This is on the higher end, if you will.
Right.
$750 to $900. And then if you're looking at some of these nicer products, Brava, Standing Steam, Slate, you can be anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 per square. Yeah. And that encompasses all the various components, pipe jacks, drip edge, turbines. It's a safe round number. And it also encompasses labor in there.
Right.
So if the average listener wants to determine, all right, well, my house is 30 squares. I want to go with a 3-tab. Let's just do 30 times $700, $21,000, give or take.
Right.
And then you got to keep in mind you also have to price out gutters. There's a whole host of other things you have to price out, but for sake of ease, roof and gutters typically.
Right. This is the other thing too. I mean, I see a lot of roofs here in the home inspection industry. I see a lot of roofs where new shingles have been slapped on, but the decking gets left, right? Is that included in a common roofer's
decking
forte?
Replacement?
Like decking material? This is the material we're talking about that basically the shingles lay on.
OSB.
The OSB or the
Orient strand board.
Or the plywood,
yeah, that's a good point. So a knowledgeable contractor will be wise enough if they're going through, let's say, a replacement process.
Right.
They'll be wise enough to know, let's get in the attic, let's take a look at the decking.
Got you.
Because if the decking is out of code and the homeowner has code coverage on their policy, insurance will determine that decking might be out of code and they'll pay for a full replacement.
I got you.
I have a quick example. I did a house in Dallas. Home was built probably 50s, 60s, and I went up in the attic and it was all 2x4 boards. And so I got with the homeowner. I asked, hey, Shelly, do you mind if I reach out to your insurance to navigate this? A lot of times some of our clients don't know how to navigate or don't want to navigate insurance, so we'll do that. I called her agent, asked the right questions, figured out she had code compliance, code coverage, and so we submitted all the right photos and we got insurance to approve a full decking replacement to bring her up to code. And what that has to do with is the thickness of your decking, the size of your rafters. But to your point, if it's just a traditional roof replacement, most times that homeowner should have Orient strand board OSB decking that lays right on the rafters. Take all the shingles off. You take the underlayment down to the decking, do a full decking inspection, and then once you determine that it's in good shape, if it needs to be replaced, you replace it. But if it's in good shape, you go ahead, you put your underlayment, you put your shingles on top, and you're good to go.
Gotcha.
Yep.
No, man.
Yeah, that's super important, man, because a lot of homeowners, they don't know. Like, I have this old decking, and I got to pay for a redeck. And it's like, no. have your contractor either ask the right questions or look into it.
man.
Yeah, get it covered by insurance.
Not to mention you've had a leak. Well, now the board underneath is compromised.
Ron,
You've
yeah.
got all these other factors that play in. So it's really important for people to understand that a roof is multiple components. It's not just the shingles on the top, right?
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
and contractors, good contractors will know the difference between, hey, you know, all we need to do is put new shingles on. Your board, you know, below looks great. Or hey, like the structure of the roof is compromised. We need to bolster that and give you a new covering.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's one of the things we look out for during our inspection is, I mean, I'll get on the roof and I will methodically walk on the boards. I can feel where there's a rafter and I can feel if there's some give. And I know my weight. I know what board should hold me. And
Right
if I'm on a particularly springy board, I know, hey, this might be out of coverage. So let me take a look at it. But one last thing too is when you're working with a contractor, ask them, do you guys do a comprehensive decking inspection during my replacement?
Right.
A lot of contracting companies will allocate 3 sheets of decking, or they'll replace the roof, take off all the shingles, and see that there's 10 sheets of OSB decking. Then they tell the homeowner, hey, listen, man, we've allocated 3 sheets of decking to replace this. You are going to be out of pocket for these remaining sheets of decking. So ask your contractor if they do a full decking inspection and how they handle the replacement of those boards during the replacement process.
No, I think it would behoove us too to kind of touch base on what does inspection include? Like when the homeowner contacts you, you get your lead, call comes in, what's next?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of different contractors do things differently. Like I said, not to dog on anybody, but a lot of these quote unquote storm chasers will go out there and their primary focus is, let me find storm damage on this roof so that I can benefit. I don't like to do that. There's no value add in that. A contractor will come down, okay, ma'am, either your roof's in great shape, okay, see you later, and the homeowner's thinking to themselves, well, okay, great, my roof's in great shape, but I didn't get anything else of it.
Right.
Or, hey, the roof needs to be replaced. Okay, again, how can I trust you? It seems like that contractor was only in it for storm damage, yay or nay.
Yeah.
What I do for my clients is a bit more comprehensive. So I always get out there and I tell my clients, I do a full ventilation assessment. I'll check on any areas of concern and I'll do a storm damage check. What does that mean?
Yep.
90% of the homes in DFW are improperly ventilated. Yeah, can you believe that? Yeah, we had a class, one of our Lamanco reps, great guy, came out there and gave us that statistic. It blew our mind. 90%, because, I mean, the reality is a true properly ventilated home. You got all these builders that are just slapping roofs together. I don't think that they're methodically thinking this needs to go here and this elevation. Because
Right.
if you've got mixed ventilation, boom, there's ding number 1. If you've got it at different heights, boom, ding number 2. So I absolutely believe that a majority of these homes are improperly ventilated. So that's one of my key points that I touch on is I'll do a ventilation assessment. The reason that that's so important is that increases the life of those shingles. If that customer is dealing with particularly hot or cold attics, if we
Yeah.
properly ventilate it, well, now their electric bill can get reduced.
Yeah.
And if they didn't know anything about it, well, then they're just stuck with this problem. So I make that a point that, hey, I'm going to check on your ventilation during our inspection.
For sure.
So I'll get out there, I'll do a ventilation assessment. I'll more or less know the cubic footage of the attic. I'll take a look at the amount of intake as well as exhaust vents. I'll notate that so when I communicate with the homeowner, I can let them know what's going on so they feel like they've got a value during that inspection. Do a ventilation check. Second is I'll check on any areas of concern. What exactly are areas of concern? You've got some missing shingles, you've got some nail pops, you've got some granule loss, things like that. What I see on that roof really it's a health check of the roof. It tells me a lot of what's going on. If I see that there's a lot of granules missing,
Yep.
that tells me the roof is probably much older. It could be, if the roof is younger, that the roof is properly not ventilated or improperly ventilated. So I'll check on any, like I said, granule loss, nail pops, if they're not properly caulked and sealed, or if they back out because of foundation shifts. That's a leak point where water can come in. It's a simple fix. Let's go ahead and nail it in, put some caulk and sealant there. That's an easy fix.
Now that's more so a roof tune-up, right? So
Oh, just during
on
my
some of those things?
inspection,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that would be a
But
tune-up, but
that'd
that's
be a
what I
tune-up
identify.
item, right.
Yeah, that's what I identify. And then missing shingles.
Right.
It could be that water's coming in, or it's in the back and they didn't know anything about it, or maybe their neighbors are seeing it and the homeowners never even thought about it. So I check on all of these areas. So ventilation check, areas of concern, a tune-up,
Yep.
and then I'll check for storm damage. And then I'll look for hail damage to the shingles, hail damage to the gutters, to the soft metals. And essentially what happens, the reason I check for storm damage is much like a golf ball making contact with the ground or a shingle, it'll create a little divot, for lack of a better term. Yeah. That not only damages those granules and it damages the decking, but it turns into a pocket that holds water.
Hold water, yeah.
That's why insurance pays for replacement.
1,000 pockets of holding water.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Talk about the amount of.
It's insidious
damage,
because it doesn't look bad at all. You don't know anything about it. It looks innocuous. There's nothing wrong with my roof. But the reality is what these homeowners can't see is that the roof, if it's filled with hail hits, then it can hold water and make its way into that roof. So I check on some storm damages to the roof and, like I said, to, let's say, the turbines. If it compromises the movability of that turbine mobility,
Yes, sir.
then again, you're impeding the airflow. So those are just some of the things I check. And the reason I check on storm damage is, one, we want to avoid those big issues. But two, if we know that there's other problems and the roof qualifies because it has storm damage, let's advise the homeowner, hey, you want to get all of these issues addressed? You've got qualifiable storm damage. I would call insurance, have them take a look at this roof, because I'm confident that insurance will pay to fix all of these issues. I'm not saying that insurance will pay for nail pops, they'll pay for X, Y, and Z. They will pay for storm damage,
Yep.
which as a byproduct will fix all of those issues.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up a really good point, too, in terms of I want clients to understand that roofs are not designed to hold water, because it can be a common misconception that, hey, there's, some water on my roof, or that valley's not draining properly, or, man, I didn't clean the leaves off. Especially in East Texas, there's pine needles that just build up in the valleys.
And you know what happens when it freezes?
It holds water. It holds weight, right? So roofs are designed to shed and deflect water and then orientate it properly away from the foundation. Should. So this is also a huge point, because when you bring out the right people, they think about all these things, right? So how to get the water from the roof to the ground and the ground away from the foundation, right? So that's where my business comes in, because I have to look at the house as a system. I can't look at it as just one patch, but it starts with the roof. And that's why it's so important to invest in your roof, just because these type of things come up. We're going to kind of move into warranties and more so the insurance claim side of things.
Okay.
Because I obviously this has been awesome. So in terms of insurance claims, you've already touched base on a couple things, but you had mentioned, like, how do you call your insurance company first? Do you call the roofing company first? Because insurance takes a ding. Like if I pick up the phone and I call them and I say, well, now that's a ding on your record for multiple years to come, right? Do you bring a roofing company out first? And how much do you cost to bring out? Like that's the other people think. Most roofing companies will take care of evaluations because they want to take care of the client.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And a lot of times you've got homeowners that feel like they're lost. They've got an issue. We had a really bad storm, and they say, like, where do I start? Do I call my agent? Do I call insurance? Do I call a contractor? Where can I find a good contractor?
Right.
There's 6,000 online. So first things first, insurance recommends you get your roof inspected at least twice a year. So I would get ahead of it, get a reputable contractor that you trust, and just have routine inspections. And contractors are so willing to help out. You can even have them, hey, listen, you don't have to call me. You're going to come January 1st. You're going to come June 1st. And just go ahead, take care of my inspections. But to answer your question, you don't want to reach out to insurance and get numerous people involved if there's no reason to. So what I would do is, as a homeowner, let's say, for easy example, we get a storm event, really bad rain, and we get a hail event. I would reach out to a contractor and I would schedule an assessment, an inspection. Most times they're free inspections, but you go ahead, you call them, they'll be out there the next day, the following day, depending on their availability. You schedule an inspection, they take a look. You first off, as a homeowner, you share with them your concern. Either, hey, we had a really bad storm and I'm concerned, or I've got a leak on the inside I'm worried about. You share with them what's going on, so it frames what they're looking for during their inspection. Contractor will go out there. They'll assess the extent of the damage. And the reality is, Derek, although we have some hailstorms, not every hailstorm is worth an insurance claim.
Correct.
You can have, and this is a good tip for the homeowners, if hail falls and you see that it is clear hail, that tells you that it's fully solid and that does some damage. But if you've got some hailstones that fall that are a bit milky white, what's on the inside? Air bubbles. So a lot of times, we had a storm a few years ago that was 3-inch hail on record, but when it made contact, it disintegrated. It was a snowball. So although the records show 3-inch hail and all the contractors are foaming at the mouth, you go out there, you do the storm damage assessment, there's nothing wrong at the roofs. So that's a good little tip is, as a homeowner, take a look at the hail. Take some photos, but assess it. If it's filled with white milkiness, it's all air bubbles and it'll disintegrate on impact. If it's clear, it's a lot more durable. But call the contractor, they'll do the inspection. And then what I would recommend is get multiple inspections.
There you go.
One contractor can say it's smoked. I don't like using that word. They could say it's smoked. One contractor can say, yes, I agree with him. The other contractor says, yes, I agree with him, in which case, yes,
now
I
you have
need
3
to do
options.
it. Yes. Well, yeah. And then another contractor could say, no, it's fine. The other one say, no, it's fine. The other one say, oh, it's smoked. Well, let's go ahead and err on the side that it seems like it's fine. If there's going to be, obviously you want multiple opinions, but like I said, not every time that there's a storm, you need to call insurance. So reach out to multiple contractors, have them validate the findings. And then at that point, they should be able to help you reach out to your insurance company. Don't call an agent. An agent's they're just the ones that sell you the policy. They're going to kick you off to a 1-800 line. Work with the contractor. He's going to be the one that's going to be able to navigate you to the right person. You file a claim, and did you want to go over the information they need or just the process so far?
No, please.
Yeah. So once you confirm with the contractor that the roof has some considerable storm damage, something that qualifies for a replacement, your contractor is going to help you call insurance, and they're going to ask for 3 unique items. The call takes about 7 to 10 minutes, depending on the insurance company, but they're going to ask you for the date of the storm, the location of the damage, and the extent of the damage.
Right.
So let's say, for sake of ease, you got date of storm, March 14th, 2024. And for reference, most insurance companies will give you 1 year to file a claim. Some of them are 2, but 1 year from the date of the event. So March 14, 2024, location of damages, roof, gutters, soft metals,
fence too?
Fence, garage doors, screens. Insurance will pay for those
Holy cow.
items. And then location of damages, and then extent of damages. It's very important that the homeowner tells them hail and wind damage. Because that frames what exactly they're looking for and how they choose to pay for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, does insurance I guess this is more so, does it cover, so if the roof leaks and you have leak damage on the inside of the house, right? Is that's obviously something that's outside your jurisdiction, or is that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I've had numerous instances where insurance sometimes will pay for that repair and sometimes they won't.
Right.
If they see that it's a one-time catastrophic storm-related event, yes, they will pay for something like that. But if it is an ongoing, and they've got ways to determine if there's rust, if there's discoloration, if they determine that it is an ongoing leak that could have been mitigated by the homeowner and didn't or wasn't, they will not pay for that.
Right.
Yep.
Now, I've seen just watching stuff on social media, you see the roofing contractor out there with the adjuster.
Yep.
Like, do you recommend bringing your contractor out there with them?
Yeah. Again, it boils down to, do you have faith and trust, and do you like your contractor? The last thing you want is to have your contractor with an adjuster hounding them. Hey, don't forget this and this and this and this. Because sometimes the adjuster can be, you would think in good faith that they're all going to do the right thing regardless of outside circumstances.
Right.
But you want your contractor to have a good relationship with your adjuster. I recommend having a contractor with the insurance adjuster just so that nothing is missed. It's an extra level of accountability, making sure that you're maximizing your coverage. Imagine you've got grill insurance or ancillary items on your coverages.
Right.
And if the contractor knows that, they point it out to the adjuster, they can get that approved. So you're maximizing your coverages, a second set of eyes, if you will, and it's just making sure that the insurance company is held accountable.
Right.
So yeah, I recommend it.
That code coverage you had alluded to earlier, how do you make sure that that's on your
policy?
policy?
Yeah, it's a good question. So really it boils down to there's different types of coverages that you can pay for on your policies. I wish I knew more about the insurance world and different policies.
I don't expect you to be the insurance.
If you talk to your agent,
Yes.
and depending on the policies that he sold you, you can absolutely get, for a little bit more, I would imagine, in your premiums, you can get code coverage.
Got you.
Meaning if your decking or something code related is out of code.
Or if a cricket's not installed on a chimney, it
there
gets
you
installed,
go.
right?
Yeah, that's
and
a
the
very good
cricket
point.
is the peak that's behind on the upside of the chimney.
Yeah,
so
that's
it
a very
properly
good point.
deflects water. So
Yep.
but
Do they
no,
offer code for that?
what's that?
Do they offer code for that? Or
I don't know.
Code coverage?
But it's a good question because I see a lot of old homes,
Uh-huh.
right, that didn't have that flashing mechanism, installed.
Yeah.
And it's something that is written up frequently.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's a very good point.
I'd be curious because that's a lot of leak point.
Yeah.
A big leak point, especially on a chimney that's wider than 30 inches or so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a good point.
no, this is like really insightful stuff because especially those people with the older homes, how can they maximize their policy if they're going to hold one, right? So and that's, again, I don't expect you to be the insurance company, but this is like awesome information for clients out there. Now, new construction homes.
Okay.
How do you deal? So some new construction homes out there offer warranties with the home,
Okay.
right? I know personally, I've had to sign waivers with certain builders stating I cannot walk on the roof because it will void the warranty. Now, have you ever stumbled upon anything like that? Or have you ever had to deal with some of these new construction builders where they're like, you can't have a third-party company walk on the roof unless permission is granted or something? Or
No, personally, I've never seen that. Are they denying you just because of your unique position, or they don't want any third party?
Well, I think it comes around to, one, safety, right? They don't want the liability of a third party individual walking on the roof, period. Two, sometimes, not all the times, there's certain builders out there that love to disguise things.
Okay.
Right? Because we talk about this nature of homes going up so quickly, I feel like there's a lot of components, and therefore I've gotten a drone for some of this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some of these builders, they hire third-party warranties.
Okay.
In that warranty is a clause stating, hey, can't walk on this roof. It's going to, void any sort of warranty in terms of the builder or the warranty coverage of it. So in lieu of protecting my client, I've forego on walking on the roof or anything like that. But I always, recommend that they understand what is involved in the warranty process throughout. But I've just, from an inspector standpoint, I just love to hear, if you've ran into anything like that or anything with new construction homes that maybe it was built 2 years ago and now the hailstorm hit it and it might still be within the builder's warranty, or...
Yeah, when storm hits and when a storm hits and you've got storm damage, really very rarely, if ever, is it going to be covered by a warranty or replacement. It's going to fall to the insurance company.
Right.
I would imagine. I've never been in a scenario where it's a brand new home, a storm damages it, and there's no policy. I haven't been in that issue.
Right.
I would imagine some sort of safety measures are taken so that they can mitigate any of their losses. Oh, we got to replace this roof, and nobody owns the property but us. I haven't been in that situation, but as far as doing inspections on new homes, yeah, we've done some new home inspections. I've never run into an issue where they say you're not allowed up there. There needs to be some level of accountability that once the roof is done, you would imagine that a project manager assigned to that project would be the eyes and ears to make sure it's all done. But yeah, we've been called out there when there's been buyers that want us to take a look at it, buyers of a new property, and we'll get out there and there's no issues with respect to
No, that's awesome.
That's good.
How about like upgrade? So let's say the roof is kind of staggering through the years. It's seen some seasons here in Texas.
Okay.
What if the common homeowner just wants to upgrade their roof? Like, what is there financing available? Is there other options or alternatives instead of having to file through insurance? Like, what type of
They've got a normal roof, no storm damage, and they want to upgrade?
I mean, they want to upgrade it or hey, maybe it's seen some years, it's not going to be covered by insurance. Like what can you help those clients out with that maybe it comes down to it where, yeah, that 3 tab is on 15 years, right? I mean, there's so many homes out there that the roof is just old. Like, let's face it, like people neglect to take care or replace. And then now you're dealing with an old roof that over time, it's like just the materials are starting to deteriorate.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. So to that point, I would say call insurance. Just take a shot at it. Have them take a look at it. If they approve it, great. Because every now and then, insurance will come out there and they'll go ahead. Oh, we found this. We found this. We found this. They'll approve a replacement. But if you're in a position where you won't get insurance, they won't approve a roof. Your best bet is just financing a new roof, just paying out of pocket for it. Yeah, that's really what it boils down to. Yeah.
But the financing option is available for folks.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
I mean, different contractors have different financing options. There's a whole host of different ways to finance a roof. You can go to a bank, you can get a credit card, you can take out a loan, you can go to a financing company.
Right.
Green Sky Financing, you can go to Wells Fargo. Yes, the option is to borrow money, finance that roof, and pay it off.
100%.
A la a loan.
Awesome, man. Well, I think, we're kind of wrapping up here. Again, Brendan, you've been fantastic.
Appreciate it.
And you've been an awesome guest on the show. Just to kind of touch base on things that we discussed today, obviously navigating the roofing industry, building those good relationships, getting multiple quotes, getting multiple evaluations, pick who you're comfortable with at the end of the day. Again, the shingle type, right? You had mentioned
got your 25-year 3-tab, 30-year architectural laminate, and then class 3 impact resistant.
Okay. The type of roof shingle to look into getting.
Yeah, class 3 impact resistant.
Class 3 impact resistant.
Yep.
And then we kind of hop into insurance claims. Call your contractor out first. Let them do the free evaluation or evaluation at a minimal cost if that ends up being that. And then let them help you determine and navigate the path through the insurance world.
Correct.
With you as a buyer or a client.
Yep.
Right. So awesome, man.
Can I leave you with one last story?
Yeah, man.
So as I understand it, the listeners are really, your listeners are going to be people that are buying or selling properties. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So like I said, my specialty is working with real estate agents and helping either, let's say we've got a buyer that says, hey, I want to buy this new property. Can you take a look at the condition on the roof and determine what I should do? I work with the buyers and I work with the sellers. The seller says, hey, listen, I'm going to list my house. You tell me if I need to replace the roof or if the roof's in good shape. So in this one instance, I was working with a seller and their buyer had a roofer come out and the buyer said, hey, this roof is in really bad shape. We want a new roof. I went out there. I confirmed, yes, it looks like the roof's going to need to be replaced. And so any normal situation, what happens when there's a problem wrong with the transaction? One of the parties has some leverage. Right. In this case, the buyers have some leverage and they say, hey, we're really committed. We want to buy this property, but we know that it's going to cost $25,000 to replace this roof. So we want $25,000 off of the value of the house. So let's just go with easy math. $500,000 is what the seller would get, less all the other things they owe. $500,000 is what they're selling the property for. Yeah. The buyers come in. They say, we're going to have to replace the roof. It's going to be $25,000. We want $25,000 off of the value. $475,000. The seller's talking to me, Brendan, we really want to sell the property. We want to hold on to our $25,000. What do we do? And I said, listen, fortunately, this is my area of expertise. I know how to navigate this. I went out there. I looked specifically for storm damage, hail and wind damage. Found it on the shingles, found it on the gutters, found it on the turbines. And I got with my client and I said, hey, listen, in lieu of sacrificing $25,000, my approach is let's call insurance out here and have them take a look at this roof. I never say with certainty, but I tell them I'm confident that insurance will pay for these issues. They'll pay for a replacement. Really? Wow, that would be phenomenal if you can help us. Yes. I called insurance. I gave them the information they need, date of damage, location of damage, extent of damage. The adjuster met me out there. We pointed out all the damages. They approved the roof. They submitted the loss report to the seller who owns that policy, outlined all the items that insurance is willing to pay for. we went ahead, we replaced the roof. Insurance covered 90% of the roof, 95%. The only thing that they had to pay was their deductible, which was $2,500.
Yep.
They had to pay, I think they had a 0.5% deductible that was grandfathered in. But the only thing they had to pay was their $2,500 deductible, and we didn't even have to collect it out of pocket. We collected it from escrow. So the sellers approached me and said, you saved the day. We didn't have to sacrifice $25,000. Insurance got to pay, what is the delta there? $22,500, and they only paid $22.5. They only paid $2,500 that we collected from escrow. So instead of the homeowners getting $500,000, they now got $497.5. I think was the math. If
Right.
that all, yeah.
Yep.
They only pay their deductible. But a lot of times homeowners don't know this. They're in a position where they're selling a property. The buyer's got some leverage. They're committed. They say, I want X value off the property unless you replace the roof. Call me. We can figure out a solution. Let's call insurance. Let's see if they'll pay for this. Avoid having to lose all that money. There's strategies around that. It's just some homeowners don't know how to navigate that because that's not their area of expertise.
For sure, man.
Call me. I'd be
How
able
do
to
people
save the
contact
homeowners.
you?
So Hargrove Roofing, I'm over in the DFW branch. Like I said, we service Tyler, Texarkana, Little Rock, Shreveport, but me specifically, I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Right on.
You can reach me at 954-483-8375. Again, 954-483-8375, or go online, hargroveroofing.com. I'm at your service.
Awesome, man. No, you have been fantastic. We've brought a lot of good information across the table, I feel, personally, to clients. So this is awesome. Again, Timbers to Titles. This isn't going to be the last episode. Brendan, thank you for allowing me to have you and host you. So again, Total Precision Inspections as well. We're just out here trying to serve clients and make their ROI on their homes, much better than it could be if tragedy strikes. So again, much love out there, and stay informed.